So welcome. My name is Dr. Katie Null, and I'm the facilitator of the 40-day Growth and Prosperity Mastermind. And we are so lucky today to have one of the past participants, Miss Missy Hatfield. Hi, Missy.
Hi, Katie. How are you today?
I am great. If you don't mind, I'd like to ask you a few questions about you and your what happened to you in the program. Would that be all
Oh,
right?
that would be great.
So, Missy, tell us who you are and what you do.
My name is Missy Hatfield, and I'm a WordPress web developer with WebShot One, where we build websites.
Very good. And you build incredible websites. I've seen your work and
Oh,
it's
thank you.
amazing. It's
We want to
amazing.
make sure that clients can find you, contact you, and hire you. That's important.
Very important. Very important. So, Missy, tell me what brought you to register for the 40-day Growth and Prosperity Mastermind?
Well, a friend told me about it, told me that she was going to be in it and that she had talked to people who had actually been in the one prior to ours and the tremendous results that they had had. So that's how I heard about it. And then as I looked into it and talked it over with the friend and everything, I realized I wanted to do it. And I wanted to do it because I wanted to open myself up to a different thinking about prosperity and a different way to move toward prosperity in my life, and whether that be financially or in relationships or in my business or just in my overall well-being. I wanted to be open to it, and so that's what I was looking for when I signed up.
So that's what you were looking for. What ended up happening? I mean, how was the structure and was it what you expected? What happened during those 40 days?
Well, it was what I expected. I know you, Katie, and I know the product, any product that you put out is going to be phenomenal, as this one was. The structure of it was fantastic. My favorite part of it was the mastermind groups meeting twice a week. I had to miss one, and I was very upset with myself that I had to miss one because it was so important to me. Our group happened to be all women. Now, I know that doesn't happen in all of the groups, but ours happened to be all women. And I think it had a little special zing to it because of
Mm,
that, because we were women that came together to support one another and to recognize each other's powers. And I'm sure that when you have groups that are men and women, there's a different vibe to that as well with the support. So that's what I got out of it. And the taking the time every morning, I did my work in the morning before I did anything else for the day, so that I made myself the most important part of my day to start,
oh.
and I opened myself up to what was going to happen. And then the readings, the writing, the journaling, which is not overwhelming, and the time that I spent in the mastermind, I found myself open to it, and I
Mm,
was able to receive untold gifts through it.
mm. So, Missy, was there anything in particular that you noticed that happened to you or your business as you were going through these 40 days, or now that you're finished? Is there any difference that you've noticed in yourself?
Well, I can give you an anecdote that I met with a potential client, and for the first time, I was able to name my price and shut my mouth, which was not always an easy thing for me to do. I I found myself maybe working from a little bit of a position of fear that, oh, you're going to think my work's not good enough or the price isn't right or whatever. But instead, working with the group, I've always known that my work is good and worth the value, but I had to know it inside myself and be able to
Mm,
present that. And so and that's one of the prosperities I got out of it, was my own self-development and my own comfort
mm,
in what I do and what service I provide for
mhm,
others. And so
mhm,
to be able to say I'm worth this and stand my ground felt really, really good.
mm. So, if someone's just now hearing about the 40-day Growth and Prosperity Mastermind and they have no idea what to expect, what would you tell them?
I would tell them that you're going to get a very well organized program, that the emails arrived on time all the time, which had that week's that day's writing and little reading. And in my case, I wrote it down also, and you're journaling. So those things were right there when I got to my computer in the morning, because they come early. And so that's very consistent. And then you get this group that you get to meet with and share good days and bad days. Because I know I came with some good days and I came with some bad days. And it also, being there to support someone else was a prosperity in itself, was a growing experience in itself. So you can expect a well-run program, and you can expect a group of people who want the same thing. They want to have prosperity, and they want you to have prosperity. That's what I would tell someone.
I know what you're saying, Missy. I actually truthfully have been surprised about how each group, each by themselves, like you mentioned, some of the groups are all female, some of the groups are mixed gender, but it's surprising to watch how they get together and support one another. That's been very gratifying.
I never would have said, put me in an all women's group. I've always been open to, it'll come the way it's supposed to. And so be open to whatever your group is. That's the way it's supposed to be. And that's where the lesson is that you're going to get.
Now in January, we're offering both the 11 a.m. and the 6 p.m. And I forgot, which group were you in?
I was in the 11 a.m. I liked having it in the middle of my day. At the end of my day, I tend to want to shut down and
kind of wind it all down and calm down.
But I can see where for other people it would be better. They're off of work, they're home, and they can sit down and get that quiet time for themselves. So both groups would be beneficial.
Now, in the mastermind groups, we shared our wins, we shared our challenges, and we also did something a little different. We did something called tapping. You had experience with tapping before. For those who have never heard of tapping or have had no experience with it, is there anything you could tell them about it?
You know, I don't know all the mechanics of why it works and how it works. I know it works. The first time I ever had an experience with tapping, I had a lot of grief. My dog had just died. You and I happened to be at a meeting together. I mentioned it. You pulled me aside where we could be quiet for a couple of minutes, and you took me through a tapping session, and I felt better afterward. There were a couple of other times when you and I have shared tapping, and there's always been an effect. Going through this mastermind group that had tapping with it, there were two experiences in there. There was tapping on a more regular basis, because I was tapping every morning. And so I was able to release some things. And then also in the mastermind group, being able to tap with other people, maybe they had an issue, and being able to tap with them, and it brought out empathy for me. And I felt like it probably put energy into them as well, to know that they were being supported. And so there was a physical feeling of improvement with tapping, emotional tapping.
Well, Missy, I appreciate all that you have done to participate in the group. And you did. You were a great participator. And I have a last question. You know, the tapping prompts and the journal prompts are scheduled day 1, day 2, day 3. But if you skip a day, you can always go back to day 1. How did you do that? Did you go all the way through the 40 days, or did you go back?
I made it to day 37.
I'm so impressed.
And then I missed. But you know what, the first thing I had to do, and I immediately tapped on it just out of habit, I had to forgive myself.
Wow.
Because I was very upset with myself that I would do that. You know, here I was being supported. And so I was immediately tapping on, even though I'm angry with myself about missing a day, right here, right now, I feel safe and I can move on. And so I started over.
That's great. You know, there's a little subgroup in the mastermind. We call them the day 1 subgroup. Because I've done it both ways, where I've started at day 1 and done the prompts all the way through day 40. And then there are some sessions I do day 1, day 2, whoops, day 1, day 2, whoops. And what we found is that it doesn't matter. It still works. And there is that forgiveness that we have to work through, isn't it?
Absolutely. And so maybe that was my lesson that I had to have, was about
Mm.
self-forgiveness. I
Yeah.
spoke to my accountability partner about it. I mean, I was bound and determined I wasn't going to tell anybody.
Oh,
But
I'm
I talked to my accountability partner about it, and she was quite blunt. And she just said, there was something you still needed to get. There's something you
mm.
still needed to learn. And so by going back, and I find myself writing different things than what I wrote the first time through,
Oh.
and I see growth.
So that's interesting. We haven't talked that much about the accountability partners. Tell me a little bit more about that.
I had just a couple of the greatest accountability partners that uh, just, I mean, every morning there's one in particular who just fills the room, whether it's in person or on a Zoom call. And I would just get an email from her every morning that would just pump me up. And I had
Mm,
others that we just kind of had that little bit of contact, that reminder to make sure to do your thing, make sure you do your journal entries. But others I've been on the phone with.
mm,
So there have been some relationships built, and then there's just been some things that were just mere acquaintances. And it had, I think it had to do with wherever each person is at that moment.
mhm,
And
mhm,
just being open to where they are and being open to where I am. You know, they
mm.
accepted me where I am, so I accepted them where they are.
Well, Missy, I appreciate you telling us all about your experience with the 40-day growth and prosperity, about highlighting the daily journal prompts, about the tapping prompts, the weekly accountability partners that we switch off and on, and the twice a week mastermind sessions that we have. The next session is going to be starting in January. It'll be a Wednesday, Friday. There are still some openings at 11 and some at 6. We're over half full now, which I'm so grateful for. The idea of being able to extend this to others. For those who register and pay by the end of 2020, because we want to see the end of 2020, they can receive a $50 discount
Correct.
by contacting me and referencing this video. Missy, before we leave, tell us a little more about what you do so that others might be able to contact you.
Great. I am the co-owner of Webshot One. That's spelled out, not the number one, but spelled out ONE at the end. And so we're at webshot1.com. You can reach me at Missy, that's MISSI, at webshot1.com. And you know what? For anybody who's considering getting into this, I would be more than happy if they've got a website to do a complimentary audit of their website for them. So to let them know if
Wow.
there's things that they can improve. Totally no strings attached. We'd just love to do it for them. And if
Missy,
you,
wait.
and this is for anybody watching this, if you're thinking about doing this, run, don't walk, get those last slots. You don't want to be left out. This is worth your time and worth your energy. You are worth what you'll get out of this.
Thank you, Missy. I so appreciate you.